Hey guys, it's Colin, and I am out and about on another beautiful day here in Maryland. And I had a couple people that have asked me to give an update on the $12,000 recall. That's what I'm going to talk about today. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, this little magical card's going to appear right up here, and it'll be some catchphrase. It'll say $12,000 recall. That's the original video I did on this. And today I'm going to update you. In a nutshell, so if you haven't seen that first video, I was getting a lot of different recalls for an airbag for my 2003 Toyota Tundra. I took it into the dealership, and come to find out, besides the airbag, once I looked at my VIN number, I qualified for a recall of an entire new bed frame. Entire frame for the entire truck. And the cost of it was $12,000. And might I add, my truck, remember, is a 2003. It's probably worth no more than $3,000. So here's the update. About 2 or 3 weeks after I dropped it off, I figured that's what they originally told me it would take. So I got a call from them, and they said, well, we've got some good news and bad news. So the good news is that you could still keep the RAV4 that we gave you for a little bit longer. And they ended up giving me a RAV4 for a rental car, and originally it was only going to be like 2 to 3 weeks. And they had told me the reason it's taken a lot longer is because the factory that makes those, that makes the frames, has been closed down due to the current situation that we have going on right now with the pandemic. So that kind of delayed it a little bit. And they told me hopefully that is going to be opening here soon, and then as soon as it does, they would give me a call. But they said probably a week and a half. So about a week passed, and they called me back and said, well, still hasn't opened yet, so going on a month now. And at this time, they also, when I first dropped it off, they said they were going to do an inspection and just, check it from front to back and see if any work needed to be done on it. And I remember a couple guys in that original video said that they gave you a RAV4 because they want you to get a new truck. And I'm like, nah, no way. Well, they didn't really push me on any new vehicle, but they came out with this literally 6-page document of all the things that needed to be done per that inspection. So after they inspected it, and they didn't do it in the beginning because they were waiting on the frame, so they didn't break about the truck or anything. So once they heard about the frame coming, probably the week later, they started doing this inspection. Well, come to find out, this 6-page document had a number at the very, very bottom, and that number was $6,000. And those $6,000 that they needed to, or they suggested, of things that I needed to get fixed. And after looking at some of these, I'm like, okay, I could see that. Most of them were just maintenance items. For instance, needs a tune-up. Yeah, I'm going to get a tune-up soon. The other thing, needed a brake job. Okay, I admit that. That probably is due time for brakes. Most of these things that they wanted on here, either I could do myself or take it to a mechanic that's going to be a lot cheaper in labor because you're paying dealer prices. But some of these were really, really funny. The one that I laughed out the most is they had a line, and my headlights, they're fogged up. After years of neglect, I've never cleaned them. They had that haze on it, and they wanted $125 of labor just to fix that. And I think the part was $50. Now, you can go online, or you can go to like one of those as seen in TV stores or a section in one of the stores, and they're like $19.95. I don't know how well of a job they do, but if I really was in dire straits and I thought that I couldn't see out of my headlights, which I still can, I'd pay that. They wanted almost $150 just for that one item. And then you start looking at some of these others, a checklist, and I'm like, okay. So, and I'm going to preface this by saying these people were awesome. This Toyota dealership by me, nothing but great communication. So I don't think they were trying to, they weren't screwing me over or anything, but they were just saying, here's what needs to be done, and this is the price. My truck's not even worth that. My truck couldn't be worth, like I said earlier, $25,000 to $3,000. It's got over 200,000 miles on it. I'm not going to spend $6,000 to get it fixed. I haven't reached that point with my truck that I'm spending more money in repairs, or it's cheaper to get a new vehicle instead of just basically, mine's been paid off for multiple years. I'm going to keep that thing till the day it dies. So this last week, I went and drove, because I was like, okay, it's got to be here. It's got to be close to being done, because I hadn't heard from them in about 2 weeks. And I drove to the dealership, and sure enough, my truck was out there in the parking lot, sitting there. It looked clean, and and I glanced down. I could see the new frame. I was like, I wonder why they haven't called me yet. This is when I was leaving for work, so I just popped back home, and sure enough, there is a message for me to call them. And so I gave them a call, and they said, hey, we finished your truck today, so just good timing. So I went down and picked it up. After I picked it up, I couldn't believe the difference on the ride of this. Now, remember, this is an old truck, and you're not going to get anything like you would with like a newer vehicle, the smoothness of it. I kind of liken it to somebody has like a Harley Evo, and then all of a sudden they go to a Milwaukee 8. It's going to be a lot smoother, but some people like that rumble. Some people like that in the Evo, kind of like the old Harley bikes. It's the same thing with the truck. I like that boxy feel. I like kind of like that firm ride, like you're riding a truck. And once I got in it, though, I realized, wow, this runs so much better. But coming from the RAV4, I couldn't believe the difference with the brakes. Even though my brakes still work, but the brakes were so responsive in the other, in the 2020 RAV4. I didn't have any of the technology. So I was like, okay, I was ready I got in, I'm like, no GPS, no back rear camera, none of that stuff. So I go back to my old standby. I've got these little cheap headphones, Bluetooth headphones that I put in one ear, because you can't have it on both ears when you're driving. And that's my Bluetooth. I hook it up to my phone, so if I need to make phone calls, I can still do that. But none of this happened. So I was kind of like the creature comforts of the newer vehicles. But I'm glad I got my truck back. I really am. That thing is, it's been with me for, since 2003, obviously. So going on almost 2 decades, coming up here shortly in a couple years. And hopefully that truck will last it. And they ended up doing almost probably $13,000 worth of repairs. The truck is now back on the driveway. I got rid of the RAV4. I will definitely, if I ever do get a new truck, and I've said this before, I've always been a friend to Toyota. I've had nothing but great things from them. So I'll probably purchase another Tundra. A little bit more expensive than mine, just a tad. All right, guys, there's your update. Now get out there and ride. Be well. And I'll talk to you guys soon.